I'm your host, Eddie Hill, along with Rick Warren and Gordon Park. Join us as we give our opinion concerning everything dealing with politics. We don't hold back, so prepare for a no-nonsense approach to the news, and no, we don't care about your feelings. Uncensored and no sugarcoating. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Political Analytical. I'm your host, Eddie Hill. Along with my other hosts, we have the incredible and sexy Rick Warren. Say hi, Rick. And I guess Rick doesn't hear me. Can you hear me, Gordon?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, so we have the incredible and sexy Gordon D. Park as well. And then we now, tonight as a special guest, we have the incredible bearded sexy Tom Rudisill.
Hey, watch that.
Every guy who wants a beard just envious of his beard because he's got like the coolest man mane on the planet.
It's an afro on my chin.
It's like really cool. If I had a beard like that, I'd be sporting that sucker everywhere.
Chin fro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, chin fro.
Rick, can you hear us?
Rick, can you hear me?
I don't think he can hear you, man.
I don't think so either.
Rick, can you hear us?
Rick.
I don't know.
Here.
I don't know where Rick is. I mean, I see him. But Rick, you. Can you hear us? I don't know. Well, anyway, we have Sue in the chat room. She says, now it's Political Analytical. And Delina says, hi, guys. How you doing, Delina? And Tom, I don't know if you remember my cousin Delina, but that's her on here, Delina Montgomery. And we have Carolyn Fergus over here. She goes, boys, hi. How you doing, Carrie?
We're freezing up
Hey,
a little
Carrie.
bit. We have a lag time.
Yeah, so we're trying to talk to you, Rick. I don't know if you can copy. I've got good signal now. No, it's not on my end. But I know what we're going to start out with. We're going to have Gordon start off with some constitutional stuff, and we're going to see what he's got.
So the title of the show tonight is
Hear anything from Eddie? Are you listening? Can you hear me, Gordon?
yes, Rick, I can hear you, but you're
I
frozen.
can hear you.
You're
Tell him
frozen.
you're going to have to get out and come back in.
Rick, you may have to pop out, and then we'll let you come back in.
Hello.
Hey,
Log
James,
out,
how you
let
doing?
me
He said,
log out and try again.
Correct.
Are we there? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you're frozen, Rick. You're going to have to jump out and come back.
Yes, now I can.
Okay, you're still frozen, Rick.
I'm
You're going to have to
talking.
jump out
Hello.
and come back
Let me
in.
log out.
Hey, Eddie, you might want to drop him to the green.
Yeah. We're going to drop him out, and he's gone. So we're going to just keep us up here for right now until he can get back on. So let's start this over. We do have incredible, sexy, bald man, Gordon D. Park. We have the incredible, sexy, and long hair of Rick Warren, who gives Vanna White a run for her money. And then we've got the incredible afro-bearded Tom Rudisill, who is the envy of every man on this planet for a beard. I mean, that is the baddest man mane I think I've ever seen in my life.
You want to pet it?
I would pet that sucker. I'd rub it carefully and slowly.
Hey,
Negative.
you guys want some alone time? I can.
No.
But what we got going on tonight, guys, I mean, I'm sure you saw the title of the show, and if not, Gordon's going to bring it up to you here in just a moment. and we've got Rick back. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some things that Gordon was really interested in talking about. And we've also got Tom Rudisill, who wanted to bring up some points that he's been thinking about a lot in reference to everything that's going on right now with our Constitution, what's happening with it, what's happening with the Supreme Court justice that passed and all that. So I'm going to turn it over to Gordon first and let Gordon take over with this. Rick, are you good to go? Can you hear us?
I think so. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
You are not frozen and you have a voice. Okay, Gordon,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
take it away, brother.
Well, the title of tonight's show is The Constitutional Crisis. And at this point, we are at a constitutional crisis. You know, there's a issue here in America, and especially in 2020, seems like the wheels have really come off this year in a lot of ways, for a lot of things and for a lot of people. This election, as if it wasn't complicated enough by COVID, as if it wasn't complicated enough by the absolute chaos and the burning and the looting and the rioting in the cities and in the streets. We now have a vacancy in the Supreme Court. Now, a lot of people say, well, what the hell does that matter? Because if the election is contested, it is decided by the Supreme Court. Now we're setting September 20th. Election is less than 45 days away. And we now have a vacancy in the Supreme Court. The Democrats are running around, panicked, running around with their chicken like a chicken with their heads cut off, because now it's tied up. You have 4 and 4. You need the 9th Supreme Court judge to break the tie. That's why there's an odd number. So the Dems are running around saying, no, Donald Trump shouldn't get to decide who the Supreme Court nominee is or appoint anyone to the Supreme Court. He was impeached, or he should be impeached, and they're threatening him with more impeachment proceedings if he tries to appoint someone. But this is where the Constitution of the United States of America comes in. And I want to be absolutely 100% clear about this. Donald J. Trump does not have the right to appoint a Supreme Court justice. He does not have a right. He has a duty. Now, for those of you who don't understand or don't know what the difference is, a right is something that you have an opinion on, or you have a choice in doing. A duty is something that you either are morally or legally obligated to do. And the President of the United States has a 100% obligation to nominate or to place the 9th Supreme Court judge.
Okay, real quick, Gordon. With that being said, what happens if, in fact, there is, Trump wins and Biden refuses to concede to the results, and we don't have that other judge in there?
Then it becomes deadlocked.
Which means what to everybody?
Which means that, quite honestly, we could descend into a state of civil war. Trump could get his supporters on one side and say, we won fair and square. And I've got the Supreme Court to back me up, or at least half of it.
So let's go into this a little bit more in detail. So what you're saying is it's imperative that we have another judge appointed.
That's why it's not a right. It's not something that is possible. It's not something that maybe he can wait until after the election to do. This is something that he must do. This is a duty for him to do. He does not have a choice. It must be done.
And if he fails to do that, and we end up with say Biden, or say even Biden wins and Trump doesn't, and we need to take this to the Supreme Court, we still don't have the right amount of justices
No.
on the seat to do any good. And this could take months, it could take years before anything is solved.
And then in the meantime, we have two partisans running the country. We have half of the country, or supposedly half of the country, on the Democratic side, who are saying our candidate is the one who won. We're the ones who are in charge, not Trump. Trump's on the other side of the wall with half of the Supreme Court on each side saying, no, we won, no, we won, no, we won.
See, some people in the chat room right now are thinking that that's exactly what's going to take place. Tom, what's your outlook on this?
Well, personally, I think the craziest shit has happened this year, right? They have tried everything possible aside of trying to kill our president. Do you understand what I'm saying? I would not doubt that these crazy socialist Democrats would take it to that degree. They're doing everything possible. You see it. Being 55 years old, you see a lot of shit in your life. But when you sit in 1 year and you see all the bullshit and crap that's come up, these people are just pulling shit out of the hat left and right. And nothing's sticking. Don't you think they would have found something to do? I mean, to get this guy out of office, all the money, George Soros, all these multi-billionaires. So to what extent will they go to eliminate this man? And the only reason why I believe they want to eliminate him is because he's going to show everything that's going on. Shed the light
into the open.
Disinfect it. They're the dirtiest bunch, the Democrats. They're evil. They're dirty. I'm not saying all of them, but the large majority of them are.
Correct.
Crazy.
Now we have Ethan on here that says it doesn't matter who wins. Civil war is the end result. Do y'all believe that, or do you think it may go a different way? Rick?
Well,
Check.
it is said by Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz. He said, are you there? Check. Hello.
Okay, you're good now,
Hello?
I think. Can you hear us? I think he's still having connection problems.
Come in. Hello.
Can you hear us, Rick?
He can't hear.
You hear. Well,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
mhm.
Hello. Oh wow. Come in. I can hear you. I can hear.
Yeah. You can hear us right now, Rick? I think he's lagging out. Gordon, are you there or are you frozen?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Take off with that.
Well, you got to forgive me. What was the question again?
Try
Can you
this
repeat
again.
it for me?
Okay, let me get this back over here. So, do you think there would be any other way to go other than civil war, or do you think that's going to be inevitable?
No, I think that what would happen is I think the politicians are going to get together and they're going to come up with 3 nominees. And they're going to vet them. And the Democrats are going to do everything they can do to push through their person. And the Republicans are going to do everything to push through their nomination. But as we both know, and all of us know, the vetting process takes years, takes months. And that's why there is an emergency power granted to the United States president in these kind of situations. The guys that wrote this stuff, they're pretty fucking smart. And they saw this stuff coming down the road. They knew what could and would happen.
Rick, what's your point of view? Can you hear us now? Are you good to go?
Let's try this again and see what's going on.
All
Can you
right.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
All right. Yay. Hey, that's good.
Man, we're
I have to
good.
agree with hey, Gordon, I have to agree with you as far as what it said. Our Senator Ted Cruz come across and said the integrity of the election depends on the court having a 9-justice panel. Just as you talked about, if we have a 4-4 panel, what it means is that we cannot have an election day come and go with the 4-4 court. A 4-4 court is equally divided, meaning that nothing will be decided. Particularly since the Democrats have already said they are going to litigate and they are going to challenge the election process. Hillary Clinton has already spoke to Joe Biden and publicly said, do not accept the findings of this election, challenge it all the way. So this is going to be one hell of a battle, guys. This is going to be something that we have never seen before in our lives, as far as
Now-
the contesting and the litigation that's about to come forth through the judicial system and through the Congress itself.
Now, Ethan says he can use the Insurrection Act.
No, he cannot. The Insurrection Act does not apply to
No,
public office officials. It doesn't apply to a public office. It only applies to individuals. The Insurrection Act is to limit what happens to individuals when we're in a state of insurrection. One party cannot come out and say all the Democrats are now in insurrection of the country. They need to be arrested and thrown up against a wall and shot. Even though I think they do, but they can't do that. And the reason why they can't do that is because in order for that to be done, President Trump would have to get a bill. That bill would have to go through the Senate and be passed by a 2/3 majority. Then it would have to go to the House of Representatives, where it would be turned down because it's a Democratic House of Representatives. So then would go to, guess where? The United States Supreme Court, which is 4-4.
Wow. Tom, what do you think on all this?
I don't think there's going to be a civil war because the quiet majority, which is
the
us,
Senate.
we're the ones that have all the guns. We're the ones that protect the liberals. Who's going to protect the liberals if they eliminate us and the police? See, they're portraying something that's not real. You know what I'm saying? They're telling all their constituents that,
United States Supreme
this
Court.
shit and that shit. What'd you say, Rick? Rick?
No, he's responding to me shaking my head.
Oh. But as far as the Civil War, man, that's the worst case scenario. Nobody wants that. Nobody. And I know the Democrats don't want that shit because they will pay the price, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't think it's going to be a civil war like what everybody's thinking as far as, shoot them up, bang, bang, because that's not going to do them any good. They'll lose that in the first day.
Quick.
Okay. But the problem's going to be is what are they going to do and what type of crooked deals are they going to pull off or try and play off that they're going to try and do to try and take over not only the House completely, but also the Senate and the presidential seat. And what's going to happen if all this is deadlocked? Could, in fact, idiot Pelosi take over during
Yes.
that particular time? And
She's
I've heard
gonna try.
different ways, Rick. I've heard yes, because she
I
is the
like it.
third. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Rick?
Rick. Go ahead. I think he's frozen again.
He's lost again.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gordon.
Well, we'll go back to a couple of things. Ethan Robinson said, okay, so then declare martial law. Again, martial law can't be declared to only half of the general populace because then it'll be appealed by the other half up to the Supreme Court, which, again, is only half ruled. As far as Pelosi taking over, the Speaker of the House only gets to take over in the event of two things. The president is dead and the vice president is dead. That's the only way the Speaker gets any kind of power whatsoever. If those two are still living and breathing, she has no power.
Or
That's it.
Or if there is I forget how they put it, where they said if there is a lock where the president cannot be decided upon, the Speaker of the House can at that time step in.
She can step in, but she cannot assume power. She can step in for the day-to-day operations because the Speaker and the Senate still have to continue. I mean, the Senate and the House of Representatives, all that still has to continue, right? Government still has to run.
I'm lost in space. Lost in space.
So they still have to continue to run, but she can't come in and sweep out the Oval Office and say, I'm in charge now. She can't sign executive orders. And in the event that she does try to pass any kind of bills or laws during that time, once again, the Supreme Court has to be involved.
Now, Kurt
so it's going to be a great big rabbit reel.
Now, Kurt says they'll be kicking in doors and confiscating if Trump loses. They have a plan, and they know we own weapons. But see, Kurt, that's the problem. If they know we have weapons, I don't think they're going to be stupid enough to come and start kicking in doors, because there's going to be a lot of people shot right on the spot. That's not going to be good for anybody who tries that at all, period. And Dennis says November 3rd is the most relevant day since the creation of humanity. If we win, we go into paradise on earth. If we lose, humanity is a failed experiment.
I think those are two opposites. Those are two extreme opposites.
Sue says, Gordon, who is the vice president? Remember, I'm an Aussie. And no, you're not stupid. And the vice president is going to be Pence.
Mike Pence.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So anyway, we got Rick back. Rick, can you hear us again?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. We got you now. I think you might be too far from your internet.
Right. From where?
I think you might be too far from your internet connection.
I'm in the same room.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not.
Wow. No, I wanted to read this before I go off again. Lest one forgets, it says, within 1 hour after Antonio Scalia died, the left celebrated and mocked his death with hatred and joy. Now, let me again rephrase that. They mocked his own death with hatred and joy. These are the kind of people that we're dealing with right now. The other one that I want to give to you is the fact this guy said this emphatically over the airways, and this was read at 9:09 a.m., October 19th, 2016. He said, and I quote, "The need for a ninth justice is undeniably clear." Do any of you guys know who that guy was that said that?
Who was it?
Barack Obama.
Well, here's the thing.
Barack Obama.
Here's the thing. If this whole situation was reversed and the Democrats were put in this position, do you think for 1 second they would say, oh, well, let's wait to see who the next president's going to be? Do you think for 1 second they would do that?
No.
Hell no.
No.
Not even close.
No, they have made it amply clear on multiple occasions that they're going to do whatever they can, whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to to steal this election, to run America into the ground. And if Biden wins, we're not going to be facing Biden for long because of the 25th Amendment.
Correct.
We're going to be facing Kamala Harris, or whatever her name is. Kamala. She's cut from the same fabric that they cut a lot of retards from. And, you know, we're going to be in a sad state of affairs. My concern is, let's say, let's say that we don't appoint a justice and everything gets tied up and everything's on freeze. What happens? What kind of used car dealership trades are going to be made for this country's future to finally elect somebody?
Oh God. But I can tell you one thing. If it goes the other way, we're going to be sold out to China in about 2 seconds.
That's a possibility.
Oh, I agree totally with that. I mean, we're going to be looking at a total implosion of any kind of governmental affairs that we've ever had and that we will ever be capable of holding as far as offices. A total implosion.
So scary. 2020 keeps handing us so many scary things. Kerry, it's not done yet by a long shot. There's going to be quite a few other scary things heading our way before it's all said and done. And being so close to the actual election right now, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more crazy stuff happen.
Everybody needs to get a will.
Yeah.
Get a will. Because shit's going to hit the fan. If Biden wins, the only way he can win is to cheat it, steal it, mail in ballots, any of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know they're planning that.
Yeah, if he wins, there's going to be some shit. They ain't seen crazy. They haven't seen crazy. There's a lot of good, hardworking conservatives that are sick and tired of this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think a majority of us are completely tired of it. Kurt Martinez says, I'm just going to continue to sit here and watch our government implode. Sit, wait, and learn what society decides to do. All this voting for the lesser evil has finally bit America in the ass. Well, I think they're not done voting for what they consider the lesser evil. I think they're going to still be pushing Biden to the very end, even though the guy doesn't even know where he is most of the time. You know? And not only that, but, you know, you got a dude that's sitting there running around sniffing kids' hair and, you know, doing all this other crazy shit and touching their chest.
Rub my leg. Watch the hair.
You know, it's just ridiculous. I mean, not in a million years would you ever. I mean, what has America come to? Just think about that for a minute. What happened to America? Where did all this shit come from? What happened to the Pledge of Allegiance and standing up and putting your hand over your heart in school? You know, do you remember that? You know, where you used to stand there and face and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
First thing we did in school.
That's right.
Where did all America's being proud to be an American, where did all that go? And when did it all take off? And was this being planned for so long that it finally crept up and just bit everybody in the ass? Now here we got Marcus Canales. He says, Dems will grant statehood to liberal Puerto Rico and DC. Do away with the filibuster. That's just the start. And Carrie, she says, as women pulled a gun in a Kroger here in Ohio today, it isn't safe to go anywhere. Carrie, you need to be carrying a gun too. Do not leave your house without one. Everybody should stay armed and be armed. Darren Wedlock from New Zealand says, I think Trump will win. A new justice will be in before the election, and the left will continue to be crazy for the next 4 years.
I agree.
I know they're going to be crazy. Dennis Higgins says, You see at the momentum, don't you? Hang on, let me put my glasses on. As you see at the momentum, don't you? Everything is working our way. We are winning. It's going to get crazy, but we're winning. Remember, winners never quit and quitters never win. Absolutely right. Kurt Martinez says, look out, here comes another impeachment hunt. Oh, they're looking for anything to try and impeach him on there, Kurt. They'd impeach him for going to the restroom or something stupid. Ethan says, Biden and Harris is a joke. He will step down and she will be president if they win. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. He's not going to be capable of running the country. Sue says, Darren isn't New Zealand Democratic. No, he is a diehard Republican from another country. And that is awesome because he's more American than most Americans. Terry Lynn says, I agree. He is a puppet. Absolutely. He's a puppet. And Marcus Canales says, it's worrisome that a good portion of our country is as demented and evil as the Liberal Party. Yeah. It's very sad there, Marcus. Darren says, yes, sadly, Sue. Well, it's labor here, but they are the same. Okay. You just call something different. And then Kurt says, they file another impeachment. It ties up the Supreme Courts. They don't give a shit whether they tie it up or not. And Sue says, we are not currently doing much better. So where do we take off from this, Tom? I mean, where do we go from here?
You got me, man. I don't know, man. It's if you think about it, it's kind of scary, because I don't want this fucking country to go down. I don't think anybody does. The Democrats obviously don't give a flying shit.
That's true. No.
They're all wound up on sugar highs and hot pockets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're
Gordon,
fucking crazy.
what else do you got on this?
Well, the America that you ask a question about, the America that we know, the America that we love, why are all the politicians have all their fingers in so many different things? Look, when voting is a double-edged sword, y'all realize this, right? Because voting, while a freedom and a right for Americans, can cut both ways, because once you give, the government gives the people so much free shit, they're going to continue to vote for their free shit.
That's right.
Nobody is going to stand up and say, hey, I vote for y'all to take away the $1,500 a month that y'all are giving me for each one of the kids I have. Oh, by the way, I just had twins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that.
That's true.
So voting is a double-edged sword, and it has to be done responsibly. Now, where do we go from here? We need an overhaul. We're 200 plus years old. It's time for an overhaul, or we're going to end up exactly in the same place that the last, and I think the first quasi-democracy ended up. And that was Rome. Rome had a Senate. Rome's national mascot, so to speak, was what? The eagle. Look, on every piece of money we have an eagle on just damn near every piece of money we have, correct?
We do. Yes.
Just like Rome did. And what happened to Rome? What happened to the Roman Empire? It consumed itself.
Exactly.
And it fell because it stopped being about the people and stopped being for the people and became about what will the mob rule do?
And Sue said, Gordon, voting should be compulsory there. Ethan says, when the politics became a career, it's not a privilege. It went to hell, period.
But that goes back to the point I made. Nobody's going to stand up and vote to say, I'm only going to keep this job for 4 years. Nobody's going to vote themselves a term limit. That's got to be something that's done on the executive level. Congress, you now have a 2-term limit. No more career politicians. That's it.
Shit, they all get rich.
That's the biggest mistake this country ever made, is allowing career politicians to get in and stay.
Yeah.
You ever notice politicians, you know, especially on the left, they always say, well, they didn't lie. They misspoke. Man, the last time I fucking lied to my dad, he whooped my ass. I should have used that term. You know? Oh, I misspoke, Pop. Don't beat my ass. It's a fucking lie. A lie is a lie. I don't care how you say it. Democrats, politicians, they all get rich in office. Every single one of them's got mansions. It's like, how the hell do you go into politics serving the people and then become rich enough to own 5, 6 mansions and get your family rich like Biden did, like Pelosi did? It's ridiculous, man.
You mean with the zero experience son, Hunter?
Yeah. That's
Well,
right.
and that's the thing. You know, these guys that take office, they seem to forget what their titles are. It's not governor. It's not senator. Those titles are after the fact. Their true title is public servant.
That's right.
See, Dennis says, we're a young country. We don't need an overhaul. We just need to exercise the Constitution. And Darren Wedlock says, Gordon, did they have political parties at the time the Constitution was written?
No, they did not.
No, they did not.
See, here's the beautiful thing about the way the Constitution was written and political elections at that time. You had 2 people. You had George Washington and John Adams. They were actually bitter rivals. I don't know if anybody knew that, but they were actually very bitter rivals. But and they ran on their platforms. And whoever became president, whoever won the election, they didn't have a running partner. They didn't have a running mate. They didn't have a party behind them. They didn't have a whole bunch of senators and governors behind them. They had one man. And whoever won became the president. Whoever lost became vice president. And
Gordon,
that's
I
how
wanna
it
throw-
was.
Wow.
I want to throw something in here for a second, okay? Let's not forget our veterans. Let's not forget our military, who have a say in this election too. I spoke this afternoon to probably 10, 15 different individuals in the military, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, the Marine Corps, and every one of them said to a man and woman that they counted in this election too, that they have a voice in what America is going to do. And kind of cracked me up because this one signed off. He said, Foxtrot, India, Lima, Lima, Tango, Hotel Echo, Sierra, Echo, Alpha, Tango. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it says fill the seat. And that was brought to you by every military part of America.
Well, now the Democrats are trying to make a case that anybody who is overseas, you know, the thousands of soldiers that we have in Afghanistan and in the Middle East, the troops that we have in Germany and all of our countries overseas at different Air Force bases and different bases around the world, they shouldn't get a vote. Why? Because they're not here. Not because they're felons, not because they've done anything wrong, but just simply because they're not here. So why should they get to help decide when they're not here? And I could make a pretty good argument and probably win in the Supreme Court to make the statement that the Democratic Party is not mentally here either. Their candidate is not mentally here.
That's very true. He doesn't even know where he's at.
That's right.
I have to say also that when the president does make a nomination, there's going to be a vetting process, and that's going to be one of the nastiest vetting processes that you're ever going to see as far as the vetting process is concerned. My thought would be, who in the hell vetted these people that are sitting there wanting to know what's going on with our America today? Who are the ones that vetted them? And if they were really honest and the truth about it, there's a lot of damn skeletons in their closets too.
Yeah, Mother Teresa would have a hard time getting in right now.
Let me ask, Rick, with everything that's taking place right now, and now with this new some Supreme Court justice seat opened up, how bad do you think it's going to get the minute the president makes his nomination for that seat? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, there's going to be injunctions filed. There's going to be motions filed. There's going to be explosions of people's heads blowing up because of the him actually thinking that he can, and it's already happening. I mean, on the internet today and all over the just all over it. You had people, how dare he? He doesn't have a right to do this. He can't do this, and everything else like that. What you're going to be looking at is basically like Thomas and Gordon were talking about. It's going to be an insurrection. It's going to be sedition. It's going to be out and out lie to lie. And it's going to be brother and sister against brother and sister, and family against each other. It is already a civil war of sorts because you have people divided along party lines that are in families, Democrat and Republican both. And so this civil war has already started. It's only in the semantical way right now that we're looking at it, but it could get to be much more.
So
You laughing at that, Gordon? He said Biden couldn't find his ass with both hands.
Well, yeah, I know, but no, I'm actually looking at what the Constitution. I actually looked up what the Constitution says.
okay, go with it.
About the question I put in was, can a sitting U.S. president just simply appoint one? Fuck the vetting process. Can they just simply appoint a U.S. Supreme Court justice? And the answer is no, he can't. It has to be confirmed by the Senate, which allows the president to formally appoint the candidate to the court. The Constitution does not set any qualifications to serve as a justice. Thus, the president can nominate any individual he wants to serve. So and that's actually kind of cool. Being this U.S. Supreme Court justice doesn't mean you actually have to have a law degree.
Huh. Hey, real quick, Carrie Lynn, she wrote here, there are so many hardworking people in our United States of America who has great ideas and a real idea and common sense ideas, but we never get a chance to run for everything because we don't have the money because we're too busy working for a dream. Why does it always have to be these rich guys that don't know what the real life is about that run for these offices, and they're not representing us, and they don't even know who I am? Should let's see who I am. Should real people, hardworking people that represent our government, and that's at every level. What do you make of that?
I think she has an outstanding ideal there. But at the same time, right now, guys, we're in a position now that we can't take back what we have existing right now, because they have so bastardized this political system that we call Congress, that there is no taking back. There is no reversing gears on what's going on right now. The machine is in motion, and that machine is getting ready to eat a lot of us up.
Absolutely. And Gordon, why is it that just everyday Joe cannot run for an office and without any money? Why is that? How come you never see that?
How come we don't see it? Because we're all smarter than that. No, look,
Beside the point. Beside that point. I mean, why? You're the constitutionalist.
the Constitution says if you want to run for a public office, run. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do. There are rules for fundraising. There are rules for how you get elected. But the majority of us, as we sit right now, Eddie, Rick, Thomas, we can't run. We cannot run at all because we would never gain the popularity. We don't have enough money to buy the donations. It's all about gimmick. It's all about the connotation I made earlier. What kind of used car sales trades are going to be made for the future of this country? We can't run because we don't have anything to offer that used car salesman. What do we have? Honesty, integrity.
But wouldn't you think that would be
Fuck-off
more
attitude.
important? But wouldn't you think that's more important than having a large bank account?
Sure. That's exactly right. But Eddie, let me ask you a question. How are you going to get the platform? We have Facebook. We've been doing this show for a while. We have quite a few followers, but they're spread out all over the world. We couldn't even run for mayor because not enough local people know who we are. They might know who you are, Eddie. They might know who Thomas is. Y'all are pretty unique individuals. Rick, I definitely know everybody knows who you are. But my community went from 7,000 people to 45 or 55,000 people in a matter of 3 years. Nobody knows who I am. So in order for me to be able to get the platform to win something as stupid as local mayor would cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I'll be right back, Joe.
You know what, guys? I mean, Thomas, Gordon, it isn't about race anymore. It isn't a brown thing. It isn't a white thing. It isn't a black thing. It isn't anything except politics. And politics have taken this country in a direction that I, as an individual, in my 65 years, never thought I would see the politics take the direction it has taken. You spoke of integrity. You spoke of honesty. You spoke of having the durability to sit there and be forthwith to the nation of people who you are talking to. Those words have become bastardized by every politician that has run in the last 25 years. Vote for me. I'll set you free. How many times have we heard that? How many promises have we been given? And they all sing the sound, and they all sound alike.
Look, there are very few people who can get on in the public eye and tell you, I don't give a shit what you think. This is how it is. Why? Well, let's look at the big time guys that do what we do. They've got more controls and more mouthpieces in their mouth than anybody just with the advertising alone.
Mm-hmm.
People who get these offices, who run for senator, and they do all these fundraising and have, I'm having a dinner, I'm having a barbecue at the house. Y'all come by. It's only $750 a plate. Who do you think's sponsoring that? And then when they do get elected, they say, hey, we gave you $3 million for your little campaign. And about scratching us our backs. That's how this all works.
Special interest groups.
That's right.
The way
So-
it works all over.
Who's over what?
I said that's the way it works all over in just about
Yeah.
all companies.
Yeah, it does. And that's why I'm saying that even the guys who do what we do and who are, Rush Limbaugh and all these other guys that do what we do, they're
Hannity.
mouthpiece by their advertisers. There's very few people who can look at you and say, hey, here's how the cow ate the cabbage. And if you don't like it, who gives a fuck? Because it's the truth. There's not. Very few. I can count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it.
Exactly. So, what would you suggest at this point that everybody do? With what's going on and watching this election go through.
Watching this election go through and watching tell everybody honestly what they need to do is the same thing you hear every time you go to Six Flags. Keep your hands and arms inside the vehicle while it's moving. Make sure your lap belt is fastened because it's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be a roller coaster. And if we're not careful, it's going to end up a train wreck.
Carrie says, isn't that what America needs? Honest and integrity. I would love to serve. I would love to teach women not to be scared to defend themselves. But why do I have to have thousands of dollars? It comes down to America being run by people who do, hang on a second here, who do understand and look down at the real Americans, the people who make America, the auto worker, let's see here, the postal employee, and the cashier, the hairdresser, the local small town police officer. And I agree. Unfortunately, Carrie, it doesn't work like that. And I don't think it ever will. Darren says, Gordon, if they didn't have parties at the writing of the Constitution, then how did they elect people to represent their state? Now, I'm going to let you answer that in just a second. I'm going to go down and read, write my name in the ballot and vote for me. That's what we should do. That was from Kurt Martinez. And Sue says, you could always pray. Hey, you know what? Prayer has worked throughout the centuries. I don't see why it wouldn't work on this. Gordon, go ahead and answer that one from
All right.
Darren.
All right, Darren. So the most direct answer to your question is 1787 is when we got a two-party political system. And the reason we got the two-party political system is because there was starting to become a lot of friction. The United States was really catching on. We were really gaining ground. And there was a certain part of the population who said, you know what, guys? We need to ratify the Constitution, rewrite the Constitution to encompass what we think that how much power the federal government should actually have. And then their other half was like, no, we're not going to touch the original Constitution. And if you think we should, you're a fucking idiot. Go back to England. So that was where the split came in. That was where we got two parties. Now, you heard me make last week a statement that when those two parties were formed and that split was done, there was an argument for traditionalism and there was a split for radicalism, making a larger federal government and a smaller state government. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it does.
Who won that?
Which political
Not the
party or what?
nationalists.
Nope.
Not the nationalists. Not the traditionalists who said, keep it the way it is. No. When we lost the Civil War, we lost, period. And that ties into the statement I made last week of when did America start its decline? It started at the day that the South surrendered at Appomattox. And Abraham Lincoln won. It started that day because states lost all their rights. The feds won. The federal government, the idea that a federal government knows better for a guy that lives in the northern peak of a mountain in Alaska than his neighbor does. A federal government and a federal agent knows more about the struggles of a rancher praying for rain so his cows don't die on the southern border of Texas than his brothers do.
You know, that you're very correct on that, Gordon. I mean, when that took place and that actually happened, that shut down every state's individuality.
And that is why I have said, and I will always maintain, that Abraham Lincoln was the greatest traitor in American history, period. And if you look at our coins, our old coins, look at an old quarter, an old nickel, an old dime, and an old penny. We monetarize that. Every president on those coins has their back turned to Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln was a traitor to the United States of America.
Wow. Now that's a piece of information I didn't know.
Yeah, look at it.
What about you, Rick?
I have to say, wow, also, speaking from a people who was defeated, and we were told by the United States government that we will take care of you. Hand us your guns. I'm just going to say it. It didn't work out too well for us. Okay. It didn't work out too well at all for us as far as the Native people, and we're still fighting. The only thing that we can say that we have.
I was about to say, Rick, it still hasn't gone good for any Native Americans, has it?
No, not at all. We're still fighting for our sovereignty. If you'll notice on the reservations, every reservation is a sovereign nation. But at any time,
I'll be right back, guys.
At any time, the federal government can come on that reservation with due process and do whatever they want. And I know that this is kind of nitpicking, but at the same time, I see the symbolism actually going toward the way America is headed today. In your backyard, Eddie, in Carrie's backyard, in Kurt's backyard, everybody in America. In fact, Sue and Darren, as they watch what's happening politically happen to America, so shall that become as a party to what's going to happen to them. And I understand. I totally get why they're concerned what's going on in America, because we are, at one time, we were the most brightest and shining light of anything that could ever have been in the world. We were number one. And all at once now.
Exactly. Aren't the state militias the key to that in the Constitution? Rick?
State militias, yes, they are a key. But at the same time, when you have a government undermining anything that a state militia might do, or the process that they want to go, or how they want to run the militia, our government is issuing orders to stand down from helping any militia that doesn't align itself with the United States government.
Very true. And I would also like to say that what happened to the American Indian, to the Native Americans all over the United States, it's what's pretty much going down right now with everybody here in the United States. And the American Indian is still fighting to try and get out from under that kind of a thumb. Am I correct on that when I say that, Rick?
That is very true. It's become almost like, and it's going to become true for every American also, is that we're going to be looking at a totalitarian type of organization and government if we're not careful here and get things aligned the direction that it needs to go. And I say that with all honesty, because right now there is not one thing that you can do outside your home, inside your home, that isn't monitored by the U.S. government.
I agree with you. And Gordon, Sue has a question for you. And she says, Gordon, what's Abraham Lincoln got to do with the current situation?
Well, Sue, I'm glad you asked that question. But I want to show you all this first, and then I'll answer that question. All right. Couldn't find an old nickel, but there's a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the head. Got it?
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a dime. Got it?
Yep.
Couldn't find the nickel, but there's a penny.
Okay.
Which way is the head facing?
Well, from my perspective, it's facing to my right.
To the right.
And the other two coins, which way were they facing?
To the left.
Yes, to the left.
Nickel does the same thing. Sue, the reason this is so important is because we're on the precipice of this happening again. And we have to understand what happened in our past to keep from repeating these same things over and over again. Insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So here we are on the precipice of another civil war. How could we have avoided the first one? What could we have done different? What can we do now?
And Dennis says, remember, the Civil War was not only the North against the South, it was the Republicans against the Democrats. Not one Republican owned a slave. Only Democrats owned slaves. The Democrats voted down the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments.
Part of that's true, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There were Republicans who did own slaves. Everybody at that time just about owned slaves.
Well, with that being said, we are completely out of time, gentlemen. And real quick, Carrie Lynn says, Gordon, thank you so much. Well put.
My pleasure.
So with that in mind, Gordon, final comments and thoughts.
The greatest decision you can ever decide as an American citizen is to sit at home and do nothing. On election day, rather. That is the greatest decision you could ever make. Again, vote. Exercise your right. Know your rights. Know what you can legally do and what you cannot legally do. That's my final thought.
Well, one more thing for you, Sue put up real quick, and just a quick comment from you is, Gordon, who do you think was the best president ever?
Ronald Reagan.
And Dennis says, no Republican owned a slave. Marcus Canales said, the succession of the states basically make two Americas. Darren Wedlock said, great show, guys. And Dennis says, name one president, name one Republican who owned a slave. Basically, I think is what he's asking. And
name one Republican who owned a slave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my great-great-great-great-grandfather who had my same name. He was a hardcore Republican, and he had 4 or 5 of them because he had a small farm.
There you go. So with that being said, Rick, final thoughts and comments, brother.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for shedding light upon different issues and different topics that bring to the forefront those thoughts that we should be thinking about right now as we go to the election polls. And I agree with Gordon, I agree with Eddie and Thomas that it is your duty. It's not your right, it's your duty to get out there and vote November 3rd. And if you have any question that you ever want to ask any one of us concerning what direction that we need to be heading, or you have any questions concerning how to get out there and vote as far as where your polls are and everything else like that, give us a shout. I'll talk to you. I'm sure Eddie and I'm sure Gordon will talk with you too.
Absolutely.
Yep. I'm as long-winded as I am. I'll talk to you.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being on the show tonight. You know, you guys did great. I appreciate it. Gordon, thank you so much for doing a lot of that investigating and looking into the all the politics and everything of the Constitution and where we're at and where we're going, what's going on right now. I mean, it's a big deal. I also want to thank Tom Rudisil, who he fell off. He's on the chat right now, but he's a great guest to have on. We're going to be having him on a lot more. He's going to be talking on some different topics as well. And Tom, I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to talk too much and you dropped out, but we appreciate you being on here. And thank everybody so much for being on the show that, you know, follows us and watches. We really appreciate it very much. We love you guys a lot. And we're here for you, you know, the same as we hope that you'll be there for us as well. So please do your part, vote, spread the word, spread the message. Please spread the show around. Let's get this show out to as many people as we possibly can. Also, like I said before, we have the podcast that's going on. Please spread the podcast around. We have a few little advertisements or commercials on there that, you know, they make us a few pennies, you know, every 1,000 clicks or so. So, I mean, it's not much, but it's something that helps out. And if you can't help out, please help out. Go to anchor.com. There's a little place on there where you can actually click on and you can make a monthly donation of 99 cents or, you know, $4, $5, whatever you want. And we'd appreciate any little bit that we get. So if you go to anchor.com and look up Political Analytical, you'll find that little box on there that you can check. And if you spread it around, the more clicks we get, the more people that watch, the more pennies we make. So we appreciate that very much. That way we can keep the show going. And we'd like to let everybody know that we are going to be working very hard to try and get the word out to as many people as we can. So please share the video, share the podcast, you know, whatever y'all can do. We'd appreciate it very, very much.
Absolutely.
And, you know, so it's going to be an uphill battle. And I'm pretty sure that the guys are going to agree with me. Starting October, we're going to try and go and do 2 shows a week. We're going to
I'm game.
Your game, Rick. I don't know if you're
I'm
able.
there. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully we can talk about what days. I'm thinking maybe Wednesday and Sundays, you know, kind of like split it up a little bit. And that way we can catch a majority of the news and get it out to you guys and our thoughts on it. But we love you guys. We appreciate it, everything that you can do. And thank you so much for being on the show. And remember, next week, next Sunday, Political Analytical, 8:00 p.m. Central Time. And if you haven't done it, please set a reminder on Facebook so that you'll get a notification when we go live. Thank you all so much. And we'll talk to you all again here real soon.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.